myself, Vaishnav. I have been in the IT industry almost 10 years, and SCCM, Intune, Azure, and modern device management solution are my key focus areas. This is my LinkedIn hand. You can feel free to reach out me over there as well. So without any further ado, we'll jumping to today's topic. So today I'll going to talk about how to configure Windows Autopilot. Again, it's a new generation device preparation policy with Microsoft Intune. So we have few agendas for today. So first one, we'll talk about what is Autopilot. I think most of the guys already know about it, but I just need to give a brief intro about that, and we'll talk about what is the next generation device auto Windows Autopilot device preparation, and we'll talk about the prerequisite and the requirement of Windows Autopilot device preparation. Then we'll a brief intro. Again, it is not more into theoretical level, but I'll just give a brief process overview and flow. Then we'll talk about the difference between the current Autopilot, Windows Autopilot profile, and the Windows Autopilot device preparation. Then we'll jumping to demo, and we'll create a Windows Autopilot device preparation policy from scratch, and we need to configure few settings also over there. That also will take in the demo session, and at the end we have a Q&A session as well. You can feel free to ask your questions over the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask your questions. So let's jump into the next slide. So what is Windows Autopilot and what is Windows Autopilot device preparation? So we already know Windows Autopilot is a collection of technologies used to set up, pre-configure new devices, getting them ready for productive use. So Windows Autopilot can be used for deploying, as we already know, Windows PCs and HoloLens to devices as well. Even Windows Autopilot can be used to reset, repurpose, and recover the devices. And this solution enables an IT department to achieve these goals in a very quick time without any delay. So much infrastructure management is not required in this process, and it is quite easy and simple. And coming to our today's topic, what is Windows Autopilot device preparation, the next generation, or whatever you would like to call. So Windows Autopilot device preparation is used to set up and configure new device settings them ready for productive use. Again, the concept is similar, but Windows Autopilot device preparation aim to simplify the device deployment by delivering the consistent configuration and the enhancing overall setup speed and improving the troubleshooting capabilities. So that is the main aim of Windows device preparation, which is into newly invented or newly introduced. So they are offering few of the they are even in the new device preparation. There is a few of offering as well. So Windows device preparation, it benefits, again, we already know it is benefit for the administrator and the user as well for the quick device configuration. And I just wrote few of the points over here. It will reduce the IT time spent on deploying the devices, and reducing the infrastructure requirement, maintaining the devices, and maximizing the ease of use for all the type of end users. And there is a improved troubleshooting as well in this new technology, or the new concept, and near and real time deployment status for monitoring the deployment. Those are the offering Microsoft Intune offered in this new Autopilot device preparation. Let me move to the next slide. So we have few prerequisite or requirement, whatever you call. So we have a few of the requirements required in this particular device configuration policy. So first of all, we need Windows 11 23 S2 or 22 S2, which is having the mentioned KB 5035942. I believe it's the marksman KB. That is the minimum requirement. And again, Microsoft Entra ID. So or device, just a note, the new concept, device preparation, Windows device preparation profile policy will only support the Entra ID join. So if suppose you are already using the traditional or the whatever the existing methods, so device should not be registered or added into Windows Autopilot device. So if the device is already registered or added to our Windows Autopilot device, the device preparation profile takes precedence over our device autopilot, Windows Autopilot device preparation policy. So always keep in mind, if you already configured autopilot with the existing policy or the profile, so this profile won't work. It will take precedence over the Windows autopilot device preparation policy. So either you need to remove from there and you can add your device over here. That also makes sense. Again, just a process overview. I already told it is not a complete deep dive into the theory, but I just wrote a few of the process overview. So when a device are initially deployed, so Windows Autopilot device preparation uses the OEM optimized version of Windows client. So the OEM optimized version of Windows client is pre-installed in the device. So the custom images and the drivers don't need to be maintained for every device model. Instead, re-imaging the device with Windows Autopilot device preparation, the existing installation can be transformed into business ready state. So that is again you can bring your own device and you can make, if the policy is already available, you can make it the device as business ready and corporate owned. And we have the deliver autopilot device preparation configuration during the authentication during the out of box experience. You have to give the your corporate ID for the OB experience, corporate ID and password for the OB experience for the for delivering this or Windows Autopilot device preparation profile. Then and again we have to create a few of the device and user group. So in the device group, automatically add the device into the group and receive selected application and PowerShell script assigned to that particular group. That also we are talking these points detailed in demo, but just give a brief intro about that. We have to create a device group, and we will assign the policies and whatever the application policies, even scripts and application assigned to that particular group. We'll move into next slide. And even here also I just mentioned what is the difference between the autopilot traditional method and the new autopilot device preparation policy. So a few of the points. So device registration is required in our current autopilot method. We have to dump the hardware hash, we have to collect those IDs and register to autopilot. But here in the autopilot device preparation, so no device registration is required. And in our current concept, it support intra join and hybrid intra join devices. But here in the autopilot device preparation, it will only support the intra join. And in our traditional method, we have to create a dynamic use with CDT IDs and all, and we have to assign the but here in the autopilot device preparation, we will create a device group definitely, but we have to give Intune autopilot confidential client as an owner for that, and we will keep that device group as empty, and we will deploy our script and application into that, and later point of time we will deploy the profile to an assigned users. Again, for the reporting, under monitoring in the traditional method, we have Windows Autopilot deployment status. And in here, in the new method, we are fetching the report on the same node, but the device device report, or the report will be Windows Autopilot device preparation deployment status report. So node is same, only the report might be different. And even in the device, the recent autopilot device preparation policy, we are not required no ESP, and uh, only only a device, only a single device preparation policy will be assigned to a users. So that is the concept all about Windows autopilot device preparation or the differences. Let me jumping to next slide. Again, this is a process flow what we are going to do during the demo session. But before that, just giving a brief idea about uh, how it works. So we have to set up the automatic enrollment. That is the primary requirement again, and allow our Microsoft Entra ID join and registration settings to the users. So in case if it is in disabled state or none state, we have to configure it for the selected users or for all users. And again, as I already told in the previous slide, we need to create a empty device security group with Intune Autopilot confidential client. So again, there is one more catch over here. When Microsoft or Microsoft Intune introduced this feature, that time the service name or whatever the um, service group enterprise application name was different. I believe it was Intune provision client, but you have to make a note of this service principle. So sorry, it will start with F1 and end with 7952C. So in case Microsoft introduced any in later, even Microsoft introducing any name changes, but the service principle will be similar. And the next step, we will create a user group and assign our required users. So there only we are assigning our policy or the profile to the required user. And we will assign app PowerShell script to the device group. And later point of time, will create a Windows Autopilot device policy from scratch. And we will add all these settings. And we do have one more option, add our Windows corporate device identifier. Again, it's an optional item as of now, because right now if we are not configuring any device identifier, when we set up that automatic enrollment, we are not going to restrict our personal on devices. So for in this demo, I'll not using that corporate device identifier option. But in case if you are require, you can mention whatever the device identifier you are using in your environment, and you can import those system IDs or the device serial number, etc. Even for the manufacturer and made. So that's all from the theoretical part, and let's jump into a quick demo. Okay. It's opening Microsoft Intune portal, and I'll be checking few items or the prerequisite we already talked about. This one will be the enrollment, right? So just going to devices, Windows by platform, you have to click Windows and enrollment. Under automatic enrollment, just making sure it is MDM user scope is set up to all. So that in that case we are good for this policy. And the one more setup, I'm just quickly jumping to Azure portal, Microsoft Entra portal. Inside that, clicking on device and device settings. So here also the Microsoft Entra ID and registration settings, I selected as all for current or the demo environment. In case if it is in none, you have to change it back to all or the selected users or devices. Devices. So those are our primary prerequisites. So that will be fine. Now we have to create, as we already discussed, we have to create two security groups. So I'm just click on devices, groups, new group. The group type will be security. I'm just giving a meaningful name. So we have to create two user device group or a user group. Total two groups. One will be for a device and one will be for user. So Autopilot device preparation device group, and the description I'll keep keep it as blank. And here I'm just clicking on create. So it will hardly take 2 seconds to create that. Yeah, we have the group created, Autopilot device preparation device group. And as we already told, we have to make owner as Intune. Intune Autopilot confidential client. So you have to click on owners and search for Intune. You can find um, it is under enterprise application actually. So it is under enterprise application. There is Intune Autopilot confidential client, and previously it is the Intune provision client, I believe. But the service principle is similar. So you have to make a note of the service principle ID. So I'm just selecting that enterprise application as an owner. So our first step is completed. So remember, the device group is empty and we just need Intune confidential client, Autopilot confidential client as an owner for that group. Again, going back to group, and I am just clicking on new group. Now you have to create a user group where we need to deploy the profile. So just giving a meaningful user group name also here. Autopilot device preparation user group. And right now, I'm just adding a member. Here in this ID only we are going to going to test our autopilot scenario. So I'm just giving that user in this group. So we have only one member in this particular user group. Just hit on create. Again, it will take a couple of seconds to create. Let's see whether it is created or not. Okay, it's still creating. Right now we have two groups. One is for device Autopilot device preparation device group, another one for Autopilot device preparation. So we only have one member. Again, since it's a lab scenario, I just selected one member here, and for the device group, empty group, but we have an owner Intune Autopilot confidential client. So our group creation is completed. Now we have to deploy few of the application and scripts, right? So if it is already deployed to all devices or something like that, that is not required. But it is in my test environment. I didn't deploy anything in in this particular group. So I'm deploying few of the application and script to that Intune device group. So just going back to my app and Windows, just adding company portal as part of that device group. Remember here also we have to deploy as in required mode. So just click on edit and just selecting Autopilot device group, just adding that group also here. So we have added company portal, and just for the testing purpose, I'm adding one application that is for HTML official site. That also I'm just adding here. Edit assignment, just including Autopilot device group and select and save. So we have added two application here. Let me try to add some, one more application, Zoom. Click on properties, whatever you have already existing in your environment. So just click on assignments and under required, adding Autopilot device group. Review and save and save. So right now we added the application and have to add, hope I have one script, I have one previous script also, just adding script also under assignment. I'm just adding that particular device group. So in one of the device group it's already deployed. So this is our device group, Autopilot device preparation device group here. Selected, review, save and save. So our primary prerequisite has been completed. Now we can try to configure our device preparation policy from scratch. For that, I'm just going into devices, Windows. Under Windows, there is a session called enrollment. This is the traditional Autopilot configuration session. There should be one device, Windows Autopilot device preparation. Just clicking on device preparation policies. So we are creating a policy from scratch. So I'll click on create, and Microsoft is giving some brief introduction about the policy. Under the next basic page, I'm just going to add one name, HTMT with Windows Autopilot device preparation policy, and click on next. Here, hope you remember we have already created a empty group, and we gave Intune Autopilot confidential client as an owner for this group. We need to select that particular group. So I'm just Autopilot device group, not the user group. Autopilot device preparation device group. Just selecting that group, and here is the configuration setting. So again, this is for the OB experience, out of box experience for the user. Under deployments, we have I believe 4 sessions here. Just let me deployment settings, out of box experience, and whatever the apps what we need to select for our Autopilot deployment and script. So first one will be the Autopilot device deployment settings, and here under deployment profile, I'm just checking as user driven. Again, that is the only option available. Single user deployment type will be single user, and we already discussed this join type also. This particular device preparation only support the Microsoft environment. So account type, again, standard user. I'm just changing back to, again, you can set it as standard user as default, but my ID is for the admin privilege. So So I'm just configuring it as administrator. And out of box experience, minimum allowed minutes allowed before showing an installation error. So this is for 60 minutes configured by default. So I am keeping as it is and the error message. So in case user is facing any error message during the autopilot experience, this will be the messages it will be visible for the user and user. So you can change it based on your need. That also I'm keeping as it is and allow user to skip setup after multiple attempts. So there is an option. So in case you don't want to allow this option, you can toggle back to no. But as it is yes. So I'm keeping the default values here and show dealing diagnostic in case any failures. The diagnostic screen will be available and they can upload the logs also. That option also I'll keep as is. So we have completed our configuration settings or the UV experience and I'm just clicking on next. Here will be scope tag. Again, by default, we have a scope tag in case if you have any custom scope tag available in your tenant based on your requirement, you can configure that as well. So I'm just keeping it as it is and click on next. Here is the assignment. So we have to assign this profile to user group. So I already created a user group for our Autopilot deployment and I gave my ID in that. So that particular user group I need to select here. Just checking for, okay. Autopilot device preparation user group. Uh, and this is the user group and we have one ID assigned in this particular group. Click on next and we can review our settings, whatever we configure so far, we can review that. So once you reviewed all your settings, only one thing we have to keep in mind, the device preparation device group and user group is configured perfectly, then only the policy will work. So once it is configured, I am just clicking on save. It will take a couple of seconds to save the policy and you can see the policies assigned. Yes. Now I'll go back to my one of my client. Just like spin up one Windows 11 VM from scratch. So this is the first screen experience of that. So I just spin up this one today morning. So this is the first experience, and first we will go through this particular experience. The first screen will be asking for the country and region, and we will select as United States and click on next. Here I'm selecting the keyboard layout as in English India, and the secondary keyboard layout I'm just skip that step. And it will check for the update. So might be it will ask for the reboot as well. Let's see the initial step. Trying to see my screen. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So it will giving the user license agreement and one more. We just want to confirm. Will Going back to our device preparation policy and HTML device preparation policy group settings are applied. So here I'm just clicking on accept the agreement. Giving my mail ID. Just giving the password. You can see here it will try to set up your device. So you can see the first step, setting the worker school, and first it is going to install our Intune management extension and whatever the application or whatever we predefined in our policy. So it will take a couple of minutes to complete. And in case if you need a deep troubleshooting, so we can click on Shift F10. Here in this case, since it's a virtual VM, function Shift F10, and we will get a man prompt screen over here. So just verifying our apps are installing correct or not. So right now, by default, we have Microsoft Edge installed and remote desktop connection. And whenever these steps are completing, we will get the other options as well. So right now, it is still in that installing management extension stage, and so meanwhile, I'll just go back to our device policy once again. I was checking about the app, one of the node actually. So just let me click on here. Under the settings, I already told we have few application allowed applications are already allowed. So in case if you are not selected the application in the previous step, we do have an option to select the application in this step as well. So that is one thing you have to keep in your mind, and the application should be uh, deployed as a required mode. So it started installing again in management extension. Let me quickly jump back to our Intune portal, click on devices, monitor, and under monitor, this is our currently using Windows Autopilot deployment status report, and we do have a new profile created, Windows Autopilot device preparation deployment here. So click on that. So for now, it is not started. So once the configuration is started and it will start installing, so we will get the information over there as well. So right now it is installing our required application and policy for our organization that we already configured. So that step also going on. Since it is mentioned as installing required apps and policies, let me again go back to our screen and just typing application wizard here, and we'll check what and all applications are installed. Still it is not completed, not started yet. It will take few more minutes to complete. By that time, we can come back to our Intune portal devices, and let's see our device is reflecting in Intune or not. Just click on devices, Windows. Yeah, it's in the provisioning state. So once it is in provisioning state, as you already know, the device name should be should be like this. So after the evaluation is completed, we'll get the correct device name. So our device is identified in Intune portal as well. Let's wait for the installation complete. So again, it's giving the status like installing required application and policy for our organization. So in this stage, it will install all our policy and application. Again, in my demo tenant or the new tenant, I don't have much policies are predefined. Again, if any policies applying or the configuration profile is assigning, only if we already defined for all the devices. Until and unless it won't apply for other configuration profile or something like that. So right now, whatever we configured, like application script we configured, so that will only take effect here. Jumping back to yeah, dot CPL. You can see the required setup has been completed and the app settings has been installed. Click on next. Here you will get an option, choose your privacy settings for your device. So I'm just keeping these setting on all capacities and click on accept. It's a matter of minutes now, so we'll get our corporate on device ready within minutes. By that time, I'll show how the OB experience looks like yesterday when I configured. I already took the screenshot for that. So once it is configured, we'll get the region settings, and then it will be the keyboard settings, and after that it will ask for secondary keyboard. Then it will check for the update. In case any reboot required, it will reboot in these settings, and once you are back, you will get so once the PC get restarted, you will get a prompt for the full configuration. You have to enter your email ID or the corporate ID over here and password. So once it is entered, it will again check for the um, device device configuration, and after that it started installing the required apps and policies for our organization. And here you can see uh, as we configured our Google Chrome or whatever the application I selected, remote help, Google Chrome, everything got installed, and even it installed the required KBs also. Again, this is not part of the Autopilot experience, but if it is required, it will check and install the minimum required KBs. So once it is set up is completed, we will get this screen. and after that, 1 second. Yeah, after that it will asking for the privacy settings to accept. Then we are in this phase right now, and after that, we will use Windows Hello. So let's see whether, yeah. So now we have to configure our um Windows Hello with our account. So I'm just configuring. So based on your requirement, you can configure this. I already configured in my tenant. So I'm just clicking on OK and sending the authentication message to my mobile number. Let me enter my OTP here. Wait a second. Yeah, I got the OTP. I got the OTP in my registered mobile number. Just verifying. So it's asking me to set up a code. Just enter the code what I needed. Click on OK. So now we are all set and our Ruby experience also completed and our devices is onboarded into Intune. Just click on OK. Now we can now we can see the application or whatever we selected during our deployment phase or the device profile phase when we configured. You can see Google Chrome is available, Zoom what we selected, and I'll verify the application in AppWiz. Just typing in run appwiz.cpl. You can see Google Chrome is installed and Intune management extension and Zoom and whatever the remote help also we have already deployed in this particular group. So once it is completed, we have to make sure it successfully installed the company portal as well. So you can see the company portal app also configured and installed. So let me just sign in to my company portal and see our device name. So this is already configured in my tenant. I'm just typing the category of my device, demonstration device, click on done. And this is my device. So desktop B93BBEQ. So let's go to settings. Let's initiate testing. Then we have to check one more option under settings. Account work or school. So you can see over here it is connected to my tenant VS Enter ID tenant and it is having my email ID configured, and under managed info you can see whatever the applications are installed and what is the status for this. All these things we can configure, we can check in here as well. So let me go back to my Intune portal and see whether the device is successfully uh, configured or not. Yeah, you can see over here, this is one of my old device, which is Windows 10 22s2, and this is the newly configured device just now we configured. And just click on the devices and just going to the app configuration. Okay, it yet because since we initiated this thing just now, it will take time to reflect. And again, we have to check our reports, right? So going back to our device node and monitor, and under Windows deployment profile, device policy deployment, click on that. You can see the newly autopilot configured devices is reflecting over here, and you can see the in detail summary of the device. So uh, just one more thing I just wanted to show you guys. Under the devices, we already created a device group, right? Under group, sorry. Autopilot device. Under autopilot device group, under members, we configured this one as empty. So once our autopilot deployment got success, we can see our same devices added in our device group also. So let me quickly go to our profile, what we currently created just now. So we have an option. We do have an option to select our application and script in the profile itself. This is my old profile, which I already pre-configured 2 days back. Here I already mentioned the apps and scripts in my current profile, right? So I didn't mention those options. A second, yes. This is the profile we just created now. So regarding that, just click on edit. So we have all rights to add our application and script over here also. The only difference, since it is already deployed, anyhow we'll get the application or the script which is already deployed. So in case if it is not deployed to that particular group, we can add your application and scripts over here. And the only difference you will get in the report. So let me quickly go back to device monitor and the new device preparation policy report. So only difference what you can see here we can see the device details, everything once it is successfully configured via autopilot. But here we can't see anything over here, right? So if we selected that option in the profile itself, we can see what is the what is the status of our application and script. So that is the only difference. But again, we have two options available. If you really want to configure that option in the profile itself, we can all rights to do that. In case you are selecting separately, so we will have one more report created. You can see over here, right? So here only it will mention the application. So whatever it is successfully deployed or not. So by default, company portal will be applied and it will have the latest version. That is the reason it got skipped. So that is the only difference, and based on your requirement, you can configure.
Yeah, maybe
That is
just
the only.
adding, yeah, just adding
Yeah,
into one more point, Vaishnav, to you. Maybe if you select this application during the autopilot, the device preparation, right? I mean, we can, I
yeah,
mean, so during the enrollment, right, you are checking whether the apps are got deployed or not, right? Maybe if you select
correct,
that
correct.
option, I hope you can able to see if the application what you have selected in the device preparation,
Correct.
right? You can able to see those, right? Yeah,
Exactly, exactly. This is the
yeah.
old what I already said tested. So let me
Yeah,
just go. Yeah, I can able to see those application installed during my
correct,
configuration phase itself. That is the only
correct.
difference. Again, it won't
Yes.
change anything, but based on the requirement. But as a best practice, I would say you can select the device, sorry, application and script should be
Mhm.
deployed during the profile staging itself. That is the only difference.
Yeah.
Thank you.